Okay. All right. A lot of you have been asking about when we're going to learn about this new JavaScript stuff. So today's the day we're going to talk about ES2015. Here are some of our objectives. We are going to use ES2015 to write more concise JavaScript. One of my gentlemen right here. Want to go for it, Alex? First one.
Use the fat arrow shortcut for writing anonymous functions.
Perfect. Let's have ahead for the second one.
Use template strings.
Awesome. Matt. 3.
Describe new ways you can assign values with declaring objects.
Awesome. And then let's go Caroline for 4.
Show how destructuring can be used to write more.
Yay. And so another objective that isn't really like an objective, but why you're learning it today is you're refactoring your code. So it will be pretty useful to use some new features while you're refactoring your code. Cool. So some of you might be asking yourself, why is it called ES2015 or ES6, like I think it was previously called? Because ECMAScript is named after the standards organization that kind of like standardized JavaScript. So it's ES2015 because it's ECMAScript, technically, even though it's JavaScript. They say both. Okay, you might also be asking, so why are they changing things? Always improving it, of course. There's like a huge panel, I don't remember the name, group of people that discuss and come up with ideas of things that they want to add, and the things that people think that they need end up getting put in. And then also, CJ's mentioned a lot of syntactic sugar, so I put in a little quote in there. Makes things like, I like to think of it as like faster to type usually, economy of motion type thing. But sometimes it's easier to read or to express that some of the new stuff is up for argument on that, like the fat arrow, right? So, cool. So, to start off, think in your brain for 15 seconds about let and const. What do you know about them? How are they different from var? Okay, tell your neighbor. They're going to judge you on what you say. Go for it. Good judgment. Good. Okay, come in, please. Let's have a volunteer from this side of the room who has an excellent explanation for let and const. Anybody? I'm going to choose somebody if you don't volunteer.
Choose somebody.
Sean, you want to go for it?
Alright. So let, similar to var, except that it cannot be used in outside of the local scope. So it's going to be basically restricted to that. If you've used it in the local scope, it's not going to have all the same properties to transfer over around like var and const. You can use local or global scope. It can be used around, but the value cannot change.
Okay. Does anybody have anything to add?
Var is wasted.
Okay, yeah. Very top of the scope. Cool. Okay, jumping into the fat arrow. This was one of our objectives. So I wrote out just a get to, I just put API URL. You can imagine a real URL there if you'd like. And the top one is what you've probably been writing. And then the bottom one is how it looks with the fat arrow. So if you'll notice, we don't have to have the parameter data in parentheses because there's just one parameter, and that's a fancy thing you can do with the fat arrow. And then if you'll notice, the fat arrow comes after the parameter, and then it looks just the same. Okay? So it's very similar. We're using that fat arrow instead of the function keyword. we do not have to put parentheses over data if it's just one parameter.
It prefers generously proportioned.
Generously proportioned arrow. Thank you. Okay, here's another example of our generously proportioned arrow. The first one is how you would write like the.
It's so much longer to say.
I almost feel like I'm gonna trip over it as well when I say it. So I don't really write functions like this, but you've seen it before, where we're basically like declaring a variable for our function. The bottom one is new with the fat arrow. We do have parentheses around our parameters because there's two. And then what are we missing on that bottom line?
Return.
We're missing a return, yes, and what else? Curly. We don't need the function keyword because we've got our fat arrow. So yes, Jason.
So when it has parameters, if it has one, you put in brackets, but anything more than one is
Parentheses.
What if it has 0 parameters?
Yes. So did everybody hear CJ's answer to that? If it has 0, doesn't have parameters, empty. Parentheses, yes.
So when you're doing, I guess like inline, so if you just, yes, if there's more than just X and Y that you need in your function, and it's like a couple lines, would you press enter after the arrow and like put that on a new line?
I don't know.
Yeah, so if you want to do multiple lines, you have to add recurrence. So having it all on one line is, you would never have a new line there. It always has to be on one line. Because the moment you add a new line, it will get a parser error. Like it'll then be looking for the curly braces.
Okay, so if you're doing 2 lines, you need the braces in there.
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Jake.
Do you always have to define it using like expression or sum equals for the fat arrow?
No, this is just an easy way to kind of see it, and usually I've only used it with like get requests and post requests and things like that, where it's more of used in like as an anonymous function. So I'm sure you can do the other one. Yeah.
Is there a skinny arrow?
I mean, I don't know.
In other programming languages, it'll behave the same way, but it's a dash arrow. That's
Yeah.
Why is it gotta be a normal arrow with a fat arrow? Why can't it be a skinny arrow?
No, but seriously.
I know. So here's that piece of code that we just saw on the slide. Just want to run it for you. You can see it in real life. Never mind. 10! Hooray! Fat arrows! Okay, so fat arrows can't just be like randomly thrown in instead of the function keyword, and there's a ton of information as to why on this site that will eventually open. It's in the slides. I will Slack them out for you guys to read. I'm doing this instead of like talking to you about it because for me, it took a while to kind of like settle in, and I'm still kind of like, when can you and can you not use it? So down here, it's got like these gotchas and pitfalls. Super interesting information. Here's a good one you might want to read. Generators and constructors are probably a no-go, and it also talks about using arrow functions with promises and callbacks. So extra information that you'll definitely want to check out.
I think the main thing to think about though is fat arrow is not just a drop-in replacement for function. In most cases, you can use a fat arrow instead, but there are certain cases where if you use a fat arrow, your code will break. So it's just important to know that it's kind of the same, but a little bit different than a function.
Question about that.
What's the
But let's say,
So what's the point if there's certain cases where it doesn't work? Then why would you?
it's mostly because of syntax trigger. Like there are so many times where it's like verbose to type out the function keyword. But the thing that it's really known for is the lexical binding of this. So instead of a function getting its own value of this is equal to the this of the outside of the function. So that's really one of the exactly. But like, you don't have to worry about that until you start caring about the value of this. Yeah, and so if you use a fat arrow, the value of this inside of the fat arrow will be the value of this that was outside of the fat arrow. It's called lexical binding. So instead of creating a fat arrow will never have its own The this inside the fat arrow will always be the this of the thing that was outside.
That's very limiting.
Well, it's not. I guess it's not limiting. There's certain cases where that's what you want.
And there's a huge in that same article. There's like a paragraph or two about famous people who decided they hate fat arrows and their argument against it. So you're welcome to read that too.
Kyle hates fat arrows. Just ask him. Mention fat arrow.
Rob?
Where is it? Isn't there like a place where they talk about the changes that they are thinking about making?
Yeah, I don't remember where that is. Where you can see like the proposed changes
Usually
for
on
next
GitHub. It's github.com/TC39. So technical committee 39 is the committee that is
committee was the word I was looking for.
ECMAScript. And yeah, they talk regularly about what they're going to be adding.
Also.
Oh.
Is there a way that we can like create our own or like implement a different intelligence?
It's a trap.
I'm gonna Go ahead.
So I don't know if this is like the correct thing. The first thing came to my mind when to use fat arrows is when to have like a quick return value, a function.
Maybe. I'm
Is that the
unsure.
case? Like if I have different processes that I have to implement, then I wouldn't use fat arrows. Is that the case?
So you have different processes.
I mean, I would use fat arrows when I have like a quick return value, like I have a function with quickly return something. Like
Time has no effect on it. Like a fat arrow or a function, you can use either one.
no, I
Even
mean,
if it's like not returning.
if I have like several lines to process, then I wouldn't use fat arrows.
You can still use a fat arrow. I use fat arrow literally everywhere I can. Like there's like a school of thought like in es2015, use let and constant everywhere, use fat arrows everywhere. Like there are certain cases where you do need the function keyword. I use fat arrows everywhere.
All right, I'm gonna rush you on this exercise because I want to make sure we get to all the information we need to for you guys to be able to go out on your own and chain and refactor your code. So you can whiteboard on your table for this, or you can do anything in Atom, whatever. Your goal, and you can use Google as well, your goal is to turn this function into a function using a fat arrow. If you need help, I will give it, but I believe in your Googling skills. Yep, the one on the board. Turn it into a fat arrow function.
No, just take it. That's all you have.
Thank you.
Yep.
No, there's no chase.
It's like team from my perspective. Like smile.
You also need more equals.
No one's judging how you draw your arrows.
I'm judging.
Definitely
Judging.
More seconds, most people are done with stuff. A lot of you still had return, that's fine, but you don't need it. But you all had the right idea. So great job. Okay.
Oh, can you show that again?
Oh, yeah. Ah. Bottom one.
Okay.
Okay, template strings are my favorite thing in the world. You guys remember those horrible exercises you had to do in the first week, right? Or maybe the second week where you were like concatenating all this crazy stuff, like plus signs and adding spaces and the test not passing because you forgot a period somewhere or a comma somewhere. Well, template strings are, I think sometimes they're called template literals. This is the bottom thing. And basically what's going on is we've got backticks in here, backtick instead of a normal quote. And then our variables are placed into curly braces with a $sign in front. And it's beautiful because it's much easier to read. There's not all these plus signs and extra quotes, and it does the same thing. It's pretty amazing. Let's check it out real quick. So literally this is the code that you just saw. We're just gonna run it so that you believe me. Hooray, it's gorgeous! So, this is one of those syntactic sugar things. It's easier to read, faster to type, less confusing, right? So this one doesn't require much more explanation. I want you to turn this one into like the console log sentence using template strings instead, and you may Google.
I use these all in my project. Because I saw these things where I was trying to understand a pretty big element, so I was like,
Right? All right. So. So instead of what we had, shout out what I need to type. Backticks, boom. Well, this one's different, but. And then, oh, you can literally already see it. I meant to copy that in. I was like, what? Okay, we can do it. Don't panic. Okay. All right. Whew. Okay. What is it? Animal, right? What do I need to do?
Change mine to the.
Thank you. My antelope. Dollar sign, bracket, animal. Then what? Likes to eat. Then what? Holla holla. Food.
Period.
Boom.
That's the only like a part of just vanilla JavaScript now. It's not straightforward.
Awesome. Yeah, this is the syntax for template strings. Cool. Okay. This one, the top, what we're doing is we are gifting the function getCharacter a name, an age, and a hobby. And then it is going to return an object with the name set to what we passed it, the age set to what we passed it, and the hobby set to what we passed it. That's fine, but this is so much cooler because we don't have to type in colons or name twice or age twice or hobby twice. They do the same thing. This will be on there for you guys to try out. We're not going to do an exercise on this one, but here it is in action. So here is my getCharacter. This is the new way of writing it, where I just list out the they need to match up to like the keys. They would match up to the keys of what you the object you're creating. So like if I can name this something else, I can. Yes.
So is that actually going to be the key name that's inside?
Yes, exactly. So if I named it like person or whatever, it would be person and then the name that I passed in. Yes.
Okay, so it's
Yeah, that doesn't.
The same question. It's like, does it go in order? Or does it match?
Goes in order.
Oh, so you can have like what you're passing in a different name as your key.
Yeah. So
Okay.
this one is showing us name, Bilious, age 776, hobby, awkward podcasts. And so if we change this to like person or whatever, it's just going to assign it that way. Oh, did I mess it up? Isn't that how it works? Oh yeah, we just have to.
Oh, so does that match?
That has to match up. But that's that. Isn't that fancy? I love it. Okay. Then there's another thing that you can do. Same idea, except for we're just doing a function instead of like a string that we were using. So like instead of being like name, Bilious, we're just saying, say hi, because of like property value, a function. So this is the new way to write it. We're just the same idea. We're just getting rid of that, making it easy because it is already going to know like, okay, we want this to be name stay high, and it's going to be this function. It's magic. Works the same way.
Can you use that while declaring other keys with it?
I think so.
Just be comment on it and then write a little bit. You can combine that with the other one where you just have like the names of the variables.
Let's-
Mhm.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
The arguments that are going in to get character in the one.
Yeah.
Is that going into the value or the key? Or is it just kind of?
They need to match up, but like what you put into like in this code, what you pass into the function
Yeah.
gets like, so it's key value. So person is still there and Bilious is our value, right? Does that make sense? Is that answering that question?
The property of the object becomes the name of the variable, and the value is the value of that variable.
Okay.
So they have to be in the same order, like why would you put the person?
I've never tried it. That would be confusing to write it out that way, I think. So I don't know why you would, but if you did,
I mean, that'll still work
because they match up.
Yeah, because ultimately it's going to be the name of the variable. I mean, when you call the function, you're passing in something different, so that's great. But I mean,
Yeah. Oh, see, person is now 776.
because when you're calling a function, the second.
Oh, right. I need to switch them.
So
Yes.
your arguments are going to be the values, and you're just pretty much putting the keys.
Yeah.
So you don't have to fill in the key. The arguments.
So.
I thought that.
There. Now it would match up. Right.
Is there any reason why you want to create an object that way and not fill it in, like have like null or just string it
So you could just use it quickly over and over and over again.
Yeah, I'm just thinking.
Like that's the only reason you'd make it a function, right? So you can use it again. Am I crazy?
No, that's totally cool. I mean, and the other thing is like, you won't just have a case where you're returning an object from a function. This is great even at like the top of the function, you want to create an object and then use it down below.
You know, what I was thinking about for this is like, it'd be really good for constructors.
Yeah, so like yeah, exactly. You pass a bunch of variables in and you want to create an object that has all those properties.
Which also, when are we going to talk about constructors?
Eventually.
All right. Cool. Okay, so destructuring is a fancy word, and this is a fancy sentence. I prefer sentences that are not fancy. The idea is you are grabbing values from an object by like making a variable. Like, so it's kind of weird. So let's look at it. So what we're doing is these become variables that are like connected to the object, and so if you log first name, it just like it knows and it will log Jim. So looking back at this sentence, read through it again. Try to formulate your own phrase for it because it's weird. Anybody want to translate it into English?
Any words that I just totally don't understand.
Yeah, so we're really only looking at the object part too.
Unpack. So that mentioned unpack.
Yeah.
I think you can infer, like, based on what do you think unpack means? Or like, what was the current meaning you have in your head of unpack?
I guess I would assume taking the values out of an array and like putting it on the bed.
And so it's very similar, but instead of putting it on your bed, you're putting it into distinct variables. So given some array that has a bunch of values in it, you can unpack those things into variables.
So looking back at this code sample, on the second line, we are this let variables, right? Woo! And then we've got first name, last name, and so we have those variables available now. And we're just saying that it applies to the human object.
So we're extracting first name from the object, and we're extracting last name from the object, and we're creating variables with those names first name.
And there's other cool stuff you can do with this. So in the exercise and the reading at the end of this, definitely read into this more because there's like excuse my language, there's a shit ton of weird stuff going on here. Yes?
So if you like change the object after this, if you change first name to Bob or whatever, would it change first name?
I think so. I don't know. I'd have to test it out.
Okay.
Yes.
Then I'm
Yeah.
confused. Do you need every line in here, or is the second line replace the first line?
So if you don't have the second line, you've not like wrapped these out to be variables. It's just a normal object, but you'd have to access normal object ways.
That's like the unpacked.
This is the unpack idea, where you're making them variables. Yes?
Do you have like an example of when you want to use that?
I do not.
Right here.
Yeah, so I mean, and so you think about this, like you have some code and you got back a value from an API request. And so it's like object dot search, object dot results, object dot whatever. If you unpack it, you can now have variables with those exact names, so you don't have to do object dot.
Okay, cool. Oh, that's actually nice.
Seems handy.
I mean, now you just use first name. So, and the way to recognize destructuring is you have curly braces on the left-hand side of the equal sign. Before this, that was never a valid way to do things, right? Because on the left-hand side of the equal sign, it's usually a variable name. But when you see those curlies on the left-hand side, that's saying we're extracting that property from the object on the right-hand side of the equal sign.
So it's like instead of human dot first name, it's first name. That's
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to do this manually, you would say let first name equal human dot first name, let last name equal human dot last name.
Right? Yeah. Okay, and then one last thing before we set you loose on more reading and such is the idea of default parameters. So if you'll check out this function, B has been set to something already. So if I don't run anything, like in this bottom line multiply, and I just put 5, B will automatically be 1. So that's kind of convenient. So like if you're like, well, usually it's going to be this, in only rare cases it will be something different, might as well do that, then you less typing, right? You can also like override the default one. The top call of the function, passing in 5 and 2, is making B 2 instead. And then obviously it just leaves 1 there. I mean, I think technically it probably replaces it, but it's still 1. So yeah, Caroline.
Is this what, for like built-in functions, if you like look at documentation, and generally you'll do one parameter, but there are options like 2 or 3. Is this what they're doing? And just the second and third are the default, and you just don't see it?
So you can do this without default values. Like they might have written it that way, but if you wanted to do this without default values, you would actually just have an if statement. So say like if B is undefined, set B to 1, and then do the code then. So this is basically a replacement for that whole system.
Is this in to 2015?
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. And so with the undefined thing, so like in this, because I'm not giving it the second parameter, that's just automatically undefined, and that's why it goes to the.
So they didn't have default values before.
Not before it's 2015.
Seems like a nightmare.
Really,
Really annoying, you have to have if statements.
It's if statements are good. Everyone think to yourself for a second, what would happen if we did not have a default value? What would the last line of code actually return?
Not a number.
What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?
No number?
Not a number. What do you think? Undefined. Okay, raise your hand if you go for not a number. Raise your hand if you go for undefined. Raise your hand if you okay.
Okay, let's see. You ready? Is that what we want?
Yes.
Okay.
Because if you think about it, 5 times undefined is not a number.
Cool. So there's like a ton more stuff that is in ES 2015. This is just some stuff to get you started. ES6 for humans, there's a link on the daily plan. You can check it out. Lots of good information. There's also an exercise on there, but really we would only like, if you're going to do the exercise, focus on just part 1, or use this stuff to refactor your Q1 project, just as long as you're getting practice in with it. Questions? Yes, Rob. You're stretching? Will.
Is the goal to use all of those things in our code?
If it's appropriate. Yeah, definitely.
I'm also curious if we're just jumping in to refactoring.
I think CJ is gonna talk
I'll
with
say
you.
a few words. Can you bring up the CanGax compatibility?
Oh, yes.
So
Let's
the thing to think about is all these features aren't necessarily supported in all browsers. However, all of them are supported in
Oops.
Chrome, and that's what we're using.
I forget what it's.
So you can write your code with the es2015 features. It's going to work just fine in Chrome. You don't have to worry about anything else. There are other browsers that don't support all of the features. So if you are using something like Fat Arrows and then your app breaks when you're in, I don't know what doesn't support Fat Arrows, maybe like Opera or something like that, then your website will not work in that browser. One thing we have not mentioned or talked about, there's these things called transpilers. What they allow you to do is take source code written in one version of ECMAScript and transpile it down to another version. So you can take your code that you wrote as ES6 and it will convert it all down to ES5 so that it could run in another browser.
Look at all I read.
But this website will show you all the browsers, all the JavaScript engines, and what features ES2015 may actually support.
Why do people use anything other than Chrome and Firefox?
And if they're old, those like are old.
Well, no, I mean it's the